Oh, well, good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all again. Just one more class before we're finished for the semester. I'm going to take about 7 to 9 minutes of your time, and hopefully I will be on time this time, to tell you a little bit about my favorite sport. So after his speech on soccer, it's a perfect segue. What can I say? I started out playing hockey when I was 7 years old, and I played the sport of hockey all the way until I was 16. I had a really bad injury when I was a sophomore in high school. Two guys took out my knee in a hockey game, and I couldn't play anymore. I had to get total reconstruction on my knee at that time and had to get 7 surgeries when I was just 16 years old. However, I was playing at a pretty high level at the time when I finished. I got accepted into Colorado State and was looking to go there for hockey. Some of my friends and former teammates got drafted into the NHL. So it's been a big passion of mine, and I plan to share with you a little bit about the history of hockey, some of the pros about hockey, some of the cons and what people have against hockey, and in the end, I plan to convince you that the sport of hockey is a wonderful sport. So I will be taking a position of value on this persuasive speech. So to start off, the history of hockey, according to, and believe it or not, there is one, the historyofhockey.net, the game of hockey has been around for over 4,000 years.
Oh my God.
That's right. They were even playing hockey before the birth of Christ. They called it the ball and stick game. And this ball and stick game was played in such places as Rome, Scotland, Egypt, and South America, thousands of years even before the birth of Christ. And according to this website, the proof was there in all the quotes and some of the artifacts that they found relating to these sports. The first year that hockey was played in the Olympics was in the year 1908. Only men were permitted to play the game. However, in 1980, women were allowed to also play hockey in the Olympics. In 2004, a man by the name of Andrew Podnieks, which is just a weird last name, wrote a book on the Stanley Cup. Is everybody here familiar with the Stanley Cup? Okay, it's like this really, really old trophy, right? And professional hockey started being played in the United States around 1970. And you can find that right here. Feel free to peruse at your own accord in this Hockey Chronicle book that chronicles the history of North American hockey. Okay? So feel free to take a look, pass it on, do with it as you will. The Stanley Cup came about in the 1800s, in 1894 to be exact, when Lord Preston Stanley purchased a punch bowl, a very expensive punch bowl, that he donated to a local hockey organization and sort of a team so they could have a competitive cup, a challenge sort of cup, if you will, a prize that they would be playing for. And basically how the Stanley Cup from the 1800s, like this old trophy, right, this trophy that's over 100 years old, got into the NHL is just because the NHL was just like, it was like the only professional hockey organization left, and it was almost by default that the Stanley Cup, this treasured kind of trophy that made it through these through the ages and in all these different hockey leagues, got to the NHL by 1926. So that's a little bit of history of hockey, a little bit of history on the cup that a lot of people in professional hockey, the NHL, plays for. Now, the NHL is just, it started off very small in 1917 with 5 teams only, and now it has become known as the biggest premier international ice hockey league that there is. So, what are some of the pros about hockey? First of all, there's hitting. There is lots and lots of hitting on a similar scale to that of football. It is the only professional sport that you can legally fight in without receiving some sort of severe repercussions, and where fighting isn't actually the main focal point of the sport itself. For instance, karate, boxing, MMA, even sumo, Hockey, you can fight, and it's okay. It's the only sport there is where you can do that without there being severe repercussions, and that it's not the main focal point. The surface it's played on. Not many sports are played on ice. And it takes great skill and great patience. Have anybody here tried ice skating before? Sometimes if you ever get out there on an ice skating rink, ice skating is not easy to do. It's one of the few sports in the world that is played on ice, and it's one of the only sports that's played on ice that is as physically demanding, and there are multi-dimensional obstacles in the sport, whereas like figure skating, they're dancing, curling, you're just sending this ball thingy along the way, and you know, when you're doing the luge or something like that, or what is it, luge and bobsledding, it's just kind of one-dimensional in its approach. It's one of the few sports there is where you have a weapon in your hands the entire time. Sticks used to be wood, but now they are aluminum, graphite. A lot of people in hockey don't even wear the proper face protection, so they'll get hit with sticks, pucks, you name it. The speed at which hockey takes place is remarkable, and the shots of a hockey puck are also quite ridiculous. A hockey puck is 1 inch thick and 3 inches in diameter. And this puck, there was a recent record, just broke this year, where the fastest shot in hockey was 108.8 miles per hour by a guy named Zdeno Chara. Skates are sharp. A lot of people have been cut with skates. I've seen somebody get stepped on with a skate and cut and sever all the tendons in his arm. So he had connectors to his fingers to be able to move his fingers. Some goalies have actually been cut with skates on the neck and have nearly died. It's a very dangerous sport. It's set up in a confined area. The U.S. rink is 200 feet by 85 feet long. An Olympic-sized hockey rink is 200 feet by 100 feet long. And the U.S. rink is 15 feet narrower, so it creates a more physical and a tighter, just a really confined, crazy game. If you like goals, if you like that about sports, goals in hockey still exist. I know you talk about soccer. You can still get goals in hockey. You can still get goals in lacrosse. The length of the game, it's not as long and drawn out as a football game or necessarily a baseball game. One of the great things about hockey, too, is the pace. Sometimes when you're sitting there watching a baseball game or the Cardinals, it just takes forever and ever, and you just keep wondering when the game is going to end. One of the things that I've always liked about basketball was the fact that players move really fast, but if you just touch someone, if you slap their hand or try to move that ball, it's a foul, and then you got to go to the line. Hockey, you can just get away with so much more. It's a hard championship to win. It's tough skating. The players are tough. I can personally attest to the fact that I've gotten hit in the face before. I've had to get 12 stitches in my chin, did not leave the game. Went back, got stitched up, started playing again. I've hurt my nose, got cracked in the face with a stick. When I was on the bench, hurt my knee really bad. Players are tough, they always come back. What are some of the cons with hockey? One of the big cons is that it's hard to follow. People think that hockey is a tough game to follow, and rightfully so. A puck is a small thing, and you got players skating around very, very fast. I compare it to like Harry Potter. Anybody Harry Potter fans and the Quidditch thing and all that stuff? Well, listen, to kind of dispel all of that, it takes some getting used to. There's no doubt about that. It takes some getting used to follow the puck around, following the skaters. Another big compliment or knock on hockey is that it's too complicated. I can't follow hockey because I just don't understand what's going on. Well, hockey's just really just like a system of games, all right? It's just a bunch of zones, okay? And from this line back, this one doesn't work. From this line back is like, let's say this is team 1 and this is team 2. And all this in here is just like a neutral area. So what you're doing is just like soccer, to where you can be offsides, you can do certain things. This is your zone, this is their zone. You're trying to get into their zone and score, and vice versa, and this is all neutral zone. Another knock on hockey is that it's too cold. Well, not necessarily true. You can actually wear clothes under your hockey equipment, okay? And sometimes in the summer, it is very nice to be in an ice skating rink where it is nice and cool and very relaxing. Another knock on hockey is that it's too expensive. And, well, here's the thing about that. One, all hockey doesn't require that you just play ice hockey. You can play hockey on the street. All it takes is a stick and a ball, and as we see people with less money and less advancement in some of these civilizations from thousands of years ago were able to play the sport, so can you. Another great thing about hockey is the fact that if you end up good enough, then people end up buying all the equipment for you, and you got all these sponsors and everything like that. Why am I telling you about hockey, and what's the point? Well, as I close out my speech, I just wanted to say that it's the perfect time to get into hockey. The Blues right now, which is our local hockey team, are in the middle of the playoffs. And not only are in the middle of the playoffs, but they are fighting for their lives. They're 2 games down right now to the Los Angeles Kings, and they play again on Thursday night. If you want to check out a hockey game, the New Jersey Devils and the Philadelphia Flyers are playing tonight, and they're also playing tomorrow night too. So it's the perfect time to get into hockey because it's the playoffs. They're playing for the Stanley Cup, and playoff hockey is just the essence. It's what hockey's all about. Check it out, look at a game, see how intense and crazy it is, and you'll hopefully be convinced through this presentation and for watching a bit yourself that it is just truly a great sport. So, thank you.
All right.